All right, we'll start with 6. Area of the triangle, somebody. Gavin.
The formula of vocabulary.
The formula. Okay, here comes the mistake I saw. You tell me the mistake. I bet you know even before I do it. Find the filth. Common mistake. Delaney. Yeah. A lot of you wanted to add these two numbers. You don't want to add it. This is the base of your triangle. 4.1 is your base. Should be 4.1 times your 3.9. Okay? Because the reason why these two dotted lines are here is just to show you that you have to extend the triangle out in order to get the altitude, which you do need. So if you do your 3.9 times 4.1, even though on the calculator it looked like it couldn't possibly be right, it is 7.995 square centimeters. Okay? So I wanted to make sure when we do the follow-up assignment tomorrow, you're going to see a question just like it, just the numbers will be different. Okay? And then we get to the house, which is now called the House of Horrors, because I saw so many different creative ways to break this up that it was making me dizzy. And all you really needed to do was break it up into two shapes, a triangle and a rectangle.
Oh, we see that now.
I know. See, some of you see it right away, and some of you say you were trying to figure out when you saw this to try to break this up into this shape here. But see, you can't do base and height unless you have a rectangle. And you can't do a triangle unless you can't do base times height divided by 2 unless you have a definite triangle. This is neither nor. This is not a triangle, and it's not a rectangle. So you can't just take 22 times 40 or 35 times 40 and be done with it. It's going to require at least 2 shapes and 2 formula sets. So I'm going to show it to you now because you're going to get another house tomorrow to break up. Ready? Who sees the triangle? Karen, come up and break it up. And I'm going to outline it just to show it to you. And I'll color code it so you could see how each piece relates to the formula that I'm going to write. I now have a rectangle and I have a triangle. You have to make one of those 2 shapes whenever you see something this is called a compound polygon. Okay, ready? We'll do the rectangle first because you have a base and a height and you don't have to subtract any sides. Here we go. What's the base of the rectangle? M&M. 40 is right. What's the height? Anna. Of the rectangle. You did it a little bit differently. No, you did it the right way. 19. No, you're doing triangle right now, I think.
Oh, whoops.
Look over here in green. What's the height of my green shape?
22.
22. Okay, and then you multiply, and you're going to wind up getting 880.
Yep.
Okay. Now we're going to do the triangle. All right, what's my formula for a triangle? Oh, you're doing continentals, but I'm sorry. Forget. Don't worry about it. Lily, what's my formula for a triangle? Okay. We'll do the easy one first. What's the base of the triangle? Come on, help us out. Gavin?
The base of the triangle is 40 feet.
Yeah, it's also 40 because this side's 40. So we have 40. Now comes really the hard question. You have to figure out the height, but it's not 35. See, 35 is from the bottom of the house all the way to the roof. I need to be able to figure out using math what this piece is here. So you have to subtract two numbers, if you know what numbers to subtract. And what do you wind up getting? Jen.
Well, I didn't actually do the thing like that. That's probably a slide out wrong, but I can see here that you have to subtract 22 from 35.
Right, and what do you get? And right now I realize you don't have a calculator, but if you have a calculator at your desk, do everything that, if anything that you can't do in your head, do it on the calculator. It's a tool for you.
13.
13. Okay, now I have my height. Don't forget I got to divide that by 2. What can you knock out? Make it a little bit easier.
42.
Mm-hmm. And you wind up getting 260 for the triangle. And then what do I have to do to those two shapes to get the whole? Okay.
380 plus 260.
Mm-hmm. And what do you get?
1,140.
That's our answer. Square feet. Like I said, when I was marking this over the weekend, I saw the most unusual breakups. I'll just give you an example of things I saw that I thought was kind of cute, and it would work. If you knew what you were doing, it would work. It just makes more work, I think. But I saw, tell me if you did it this way. I saw this way, and they did 4 triangles. And if you knew what you were doing, it would work. It's just a lot of work. Then I saw this. Oops. I saw this. And it would also work, but it's you really have to be very careful. But I saw this. And they had a rectangle here and 2 triangles. It's a lot of work. And then some of you, which was okay too, which was probably my second pick for the way to do it, is composition. They brought it up. This is my second favorite because this would work too. And then they did 40 times 35. That's the whole. And then subtracted these 2 triangles, which is 20 by 13. And that would work too. It's just it's more work. When you see a shape that you know you have to break up or put together, try to do it in as few shapes as possible. It's less work. Matthew.
I divided the 2 triangles and rectangles.
I've seen that too. Yep. I saw that way too. All right, next is the upside down trapezoid. Unfortunately, if you had one formula with one set of substitution, you lost a lot of points. I saw many of you do this, and I'll explain to you why this is problematic. You have to understand, guys, this is the most important thing I'm going to tell you today. Base times height is only going to work for squares and rectangles. Does not work for trapezoids. You have to break trapezoids up into at least 2 shapes. If you only did this, you wind up losing a lot of points. I think I gave you credit for one formula and one, if you had the units correctly, even if your answer was wrong but had cm squared, I gave you a point for that. Problem is that the whole thing is worth 11 points. So you would lose 9 points if you didn't know how to break it up. Well, there's 2 ways to break it up. If you really hold true to as few shapes as possible, one line would break it up into two triangles. There's a triangle and there's a triangle. And it would work. Some of you have trouble with triangles. So, even though this is only two shapes, I think the way that would help you to see it a little bit better is one line this way. That's going to create three shapes though. Triangle, rectangle, and another triangle. I'm going to do the rectangle first. Formula is base times height. Okay, ready? What is the base? Matthew. It's 9. It's not 14. 14 is this whole piece. 9 is my base. And my height is 5. Once you started doing this, now you started getting points for the good. Because you could get, right now I gave you 3 points just for that. The triangles are hard. Because you have to figure out what the base is of these triangles. I thought this was the hardest part. Anybody have, the height's still 5, right? That's the easy part. You had to try to figure out by math what those two bases are measurement-wise. Okay, what did you get? How did you do it? 2.5 is right. Why? Just try to retrace your steps because you knew it on the day of the quiz, so you just have to figure out how you did it again. Right now. See, here comes the light bulb. All right, go.
The height is 5.
Mm-hmm.
Then,
No, I don't. Yeah. All right, can I give you a hint? It has something to do with 14 and 9. Thank you, Dan. Okay, so you subtract, this whole piece is 14. So that means that this piece, which is 9, don't forget, it's not 14, this piece is 9. These three pieces have to add up to 14. So you had 14, and you took away minus, you just said it, 9, that's how much? And then 5 has to be divvied up equally between two triangle bases, which is 2 plus 5, 2.5 and 2.5. Okay, formula. The base now has been established, 2.5. Lily, what's the height? Right. And don't forget, divide by 2. And you get a crazy decimal, but again, you have a calculator. And you wind up getting 6.25 for this. Is that right?
Yep.
6.25, yeah. I'll look at it after. Okay, and then the good news is once you've done one triangle, this is the same exact size triangle. So it's really another, without going through all the steps, it's another 6.25. And then when you add this and this and this, you get 57.5 square centimeters. And like I said, there's not only one way to do it. You could complete the rectangle by using composition, if you wanted to, or you could have broken it up by two triangles. But the key is, guys, is you've got to break it up some way. You just can't do it as a trapezoid. There's no straight formula for trapezoid. Well, there is, but you learn it in 7th grade. But not in 6th grade Common Core curriculum. Goes in the bucket. All right, let's go on to number 9. base 1 plus base 2 divide by 2 times height. You'll get to it in 7th. Okay. Same thing as you have. Same thing with this one. You can't do it with one formula and one set of numbers being substituted. It's a compound shape. It's not a rectangle and it's not a triangle. So you've got to break it up. Do you see the triangle?
Yes.
There's the triangle. So now you have a rectangle and a triangle, and you can do it with just two shapes. I think the triangle's harder, so we'll do the rectangle first. The rectangle, we have a complete base and we have a complete height. The base is how much? Ev?
Base of
Rectangle, red.
13. Plus the other.
13's the longer one, we don't want 13. Make believe this is not even here. Aileen?
I think it's 10.
It is 10. 10, so this has got to be 10. 13F is the whole piece. We don't want the whole piece, we want just from here to here. What about, Ed, what about the height? Okay, so now we're on our way. We have 90. Triangle is tricky because you got to do some math. Formula is base times height divided by 2. But what's the base? Got to do a little mental math. Nick. What's the base of the triangle, though? Right. It's from here to here. Well, if from here to here is 10, and this whole piece is 13, this has got to be 3. The height's still 9. And now you got to do 27 divided by 2. And yeah, you wind up with a decimal. 13.5. But then when you add it, this piece, triangle and rectangle, you get 103.5 square centimeters. All right, last one for today. Again, I thought this was a lot easier than what you guys made it out to be. You have to find the area of the white region.
I made it complex.
When you do this, the easier way is don't break it up at all. Don't break it up. If you try to break it up, it can be done, but man, there's a lot of work involved that way. The way to do it is what? What's the way to do it? Let's think about what we have to do. We've got to tile the white area. We're not putting tile here in the gray areas, the vanity, the shower, or the cabinet. So what do you got to do? All right, Jay.
You find the area of the whole rectangle.
Find the whole bathroom. Rectangle. What's the base? What's the height? When you multiply that, you get 336. That's the whole entire snow cone, right? But I've got to subtract what I'm not doing. I'm not doing the vanity, I'm not tiling the shower, and I'm not tiling the cabinet. Without writing all the formulas out, let's do that right now. What is the bath and vanities area? Matt.
48. I think
I'm going to put it right in here. Guys, stay with me a little longer here. Everybody's packing up. Just wait. What's the area of the shower? Delaney. And what's the area of the cabinet? And what I'm going to do is take my whole 336, subtract 48, subtract 36. Hold on. I'm not done. Subtract 20. And if you do that, you get 232.
Then
square feet.
So,